And welcome everyone to our weekly AP Top 25 poll breakdown. I'm Andy Katz here on Bleacher Report. So it is Monday, the Monday after Feast Week, after Purdue won the Maui Invitational in Honolulu. I was there. I'm making my way back east. Villanova won the battle for Atlantis. That comes right after they lost to Penn in a Big Five matchup. So a great week for them. And Arizona knocked off Michigan State in Palm Desert. Those were some of the most significant wins of the week. Ohio State beat Alabama. Wisconsin won a tournament down in Fort Myers. So a lot of shuffling going on in the top 25, most notably Purdue. Purdue, for the third straight season, will be the number one team in the country, is the number one team in the country, as you see on your screen, after winning the loaded, best ever Maui Invitational, I think the best ever non-conference tournament that we've seen in men's college basketball. Purdue beat Gonzaga. They, by the way, have the toughest road. Beat Gonzaga in the first round. Second round, a absolute slugfest over Tennessee. And the third round championship game on Wednesday at the Stan Sheriff Center. Absolute epic battle against Marquette. Felt like a Final Four game, an Elite Eight game. You have the Zach Edey tip-in off the Braden Smith miss that essentially won the game. So that was the difference maker for Purdue to be the number one team in the country. Last year, number one team in the country ultimately lost at Northwestern. By the way, I'll be there Friday night. They're the number one team in the country. They go to Northwestern. I think this Purdue team is better. Northwestern maybe not as good as they were a year ago, and the timing of the game is a little different mid-season versus here early December, which will be on December 1st. And then 2 years ago, when they were number one for the first time ever, they went to Rutgers and lost on a Ron Harper Jr. buzzer beater. So not great history with them holding that number one ranking, but then they ultimately would be a number one team. Let's look at this poll, because I think we are in line, and we're going to look at my Power 36 momentarily here. But Purdue at 1, Arizona 2, undefeated. They now have wins against Duke at Cameron, over Michigan State in Palm Desert. Marquette 3, after losing that title game to Purdue, which I thought was, more than significant for the way they came out of that, I should say, that they looked like a Final Four team, even though they lost that game. Great week in Honolulu for Shaka Smart's crew. For UConn, still undefeated. Win over Indiana and Texas, obviously. The competition is going to go up even more because they got a monster showdown with number 5, Kansas. Kansas now lost in the semis to Marquette. That was one of the late games. That was the late game, I should say. Then the way the schedule flipped because of ESPN's schedule, they ended up playing on Wednesday morning. So they played late Tuesday night, Wednesday morning in Hawaii at 9:30, turned it around and beat Tennessee in a really, really strong effort from Hunter Dickinson throughout the course of the week. So that was a great turnaround for Kansas. So now, UConn, Kansas, Friday night, Fog Allen, phenomenal game. 6, Houston, undefeated, by the way. Houston plays Xavier later this week, one of my games to watch. That's going to be a slugfest. Duke has rebounded well since the Arizona loss. Now the competition will raise up significantly because they're going to take on Arkansas, which you see on their screen, 23. I dropped Arkansas because they had a poor Battle for Atlantis performance. Miami, they won another tournament, and they're going to be at Kentucky, which is, you see, number 12. So a lot of top 25 matchups. Baylor at 9, Tennessee at 10. Now, here's where we're going to pick apart a little of this poll here, because first off, I do like the Zags. I like the Zags' growth. I thought Gonzaga, they caught a UCLA team that's not playing well at all. Okay, UCLA's only win in Honolulu was against Chaminade. This Gonzaga team needs Ryan Nembhard to play well. Graham Eke's got to stay out of foul trouble. Anton Watson scores 32, saves them against UCLA. That's what obviously has to happen for them. But there's no question that the Zags are not where they need to be, and that's why I dropped them. I dropped them significantly in my top 25. 11, I think that's a little too high right now. I think they ultimately can get there, but I think that's a little too high right now. Florida Atlantic at number 13 after they won down in Orlando. I dropped them because of that loss to Bryant. Bad loss. They have a great week. I jumped them back up. A&M played well in Orlando. They deserve that. Creighton, okay, might be an anomaly. Explain to me in this poll how Creighton at 15 can be ahead of Colorado State at 20 when Colorado State held Creighton to under 50 points. Okay, that is a major issue with this AP Top 25 poll this week. How Colorado State can be behind Creighton. In Kansas City, Colorado State dominated them. Creighton's offense was non-existent. BYU, I like them at 19. They won the tournament in Vegas by beating Arizona State and NC State. Villanova, I would have had them higher. I had them at 11. We'll show that to you in a moment. James Madison, Mississippi State, Alabama. Alabama lost to Ohio State. Ohio State's not in there. Oklahoma did beat Iowa in San Diego, won that event out there. So I like them at 25. Illinois. But this is a little branding here. My major issues are the fact that Gonzaga didn't drop a little more when I should have. Villanova should be higher. Colorado State should be above Creighton. I would have dropped Alabama. And so let's take a look at my Power 36. I want to go through that, and then we're going to take your questions. And you'll see some differences. If we can go to my Power 36, at the top here, the first grouping here, okay? Purdue, Arizona, Marquette, UConn, Kansas, Miami, Baylor, Houston, Tennessee, Duke, Nova, FAU. So pretty close to the AP top 10. I have Villanova, FAU higher with what they did. As you see there, and I'm going to tell you, by the way, later this week, we're going to have our first Bleacher Report stream bracket. That's going to be on Thursday at noon Eastern. All right? I will not be shocked if the number one seeds that when we go through this process this week, mirror what you see there on my Power 36. I think it's pretty close to what the ones and twos would be a month into the season, and that's why we're doing this bracket. So Villanova, FAU deserve to be in that top dozen based on what they just did, winning these events. Both highly competitive tournaments. That isn't always the case, but it was the case with Villanova and FAU. Villanova, with the win over North Carolina, was significant, and Eric Dixon was my National Player of the Week with his phenomenal performance against North Carolina, 34 points, a game that felt like, it was somewhere mid-season. So let's go to the next grouping. That would be 13 down of the Power 36. So there you see, again, a glaring error. This is now 2 weeks in a row that I'm going to go on the soapbox about Clemson. Clemson's undefeated. Okay? Clemson is undefeated, and they get no love in the top 25. I don't understand it. I have them at 14. That's where they should be, somewhere in that top 15. I don't understand it, how they're not there. You see there, Colorado State, 18. You don't see Creighton because they beat them handily. Memphis, 19. Memphis had one bad game against Villanova down in Atlantis. Otherwise, they played great. They should be in there. Ohio State knocked off Alabama. Where are they? So you can see this is where I have major differences with the AP Top 25. Clemson at 14, Colorado State at 18, Memphis at 19, Ohio State at 22. Those are the biggest differences. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm seeing a question here about Nova losing at UNC. You're wrong on that. Obviously, you weren't paying attention. Let's flip it here to the next grouping here from 25 to 36. There you see Auburn. Someone asked, where is Auburn? There they are in my poll. San Diego State's back playing really well at 26. Excuse me, their loss was to BYU on the road. There you see Alabama, Creighton, Gonzaga. Okay, three teams that I think ultimately are top 25 teams, but have not played as well of late. TCU, another team, they got to step up their competition to get the recognition they deserve, but they're undefeated. Wisconsin, they deserve to be in the Power 36 after beating SMU and Virginia. Nebraska, 33. Okay, last year I was on that Rutgers bandwagon really 2 years in a row, and I believe in Rutgers, but if there's a Big Ten team that I think you guys all have to pay attention to, that is undefeated right now, that could make the NCAA tournament, it is Nebraska. Fred Hoiberg has his best team since he's been there. Maybe not his most talented, but I think his best team. Big difference here. They're not 100% healthy yet. When they are, they're going to be a major factor. A week from Sunday, December 10th, I'm going to be there for their game against Michigan State, which I think is a chance for people to really take note if they knock off the Spartans at home. And then you see back part. Florida's playing pretty well. Nevada with Steve Alford, they're scoring well, and Bradley, undefeated out of the Missouri Valley. So question here from McLovin says, where's Cincinnati? Cincinnati was my under consideration. I got them right there. So there's no question that I've considered them. Okay. So again, I agree with you. In this question, Sal says, wait, Villanova's behind North Carolina. I didn't do that. I agree with you. That's a major error from the top 25. I have Villanova ahead of Carolina. Arizona 2, Purdue 1. Everyone agrees that if that holds, monster game. I'm going to be there December 16th in Indy. Where's Auburn, John? As I answered you, I have them at 25 in my poll. Texas Tech only loses to Villanova, play them best tournament. Yeah, I don't see Texas Tech as a top 25 right now. Agree, Queen, Ohio State should be ranked. I have them ranked. They knocked off Alabama. Yes, Bears fan, this is a critical stretch for Illinois. We'll know a lot more about the Illini, where they've got Rutgers on the road, FAU in the Garden, and Tennessee. Tyler, thoughts on Florida Atlantic? Elijah Martin played really well. John L. Davis did, and they are now playing kind of like they did a year ago. They're going to get better and better, more in rhythm. They got a big stretch coming up because they still have to play, as we mentioned, Garden against Illinois, where they, by the way, they were in the Garden when they went to the Final Four, so they're going to feel more comfortable in that building. And then they also have that monster game against Arizona. I believe it's in Las Vegas. Steven says BYU winning it all. Don't see it, but I think they're an NCAA tournament team in the Big 12, which would be huge for Mark Pope, because having Houston and BYU get into the Big 12 and play well, now they haven't played a Big 12 game yet, would be huge for their growth in this new conference for them. I think Cincinnati will hold their own too. UCF is going to be the one that's going to have a little bit more of a learning curve in the Big 12. How do I see UNC Tennessee playing out? Well, it all depends on, I think more than anything, is the Baycott Ingram grouping against Addo and Josiah James and Dalton Connect. That sort of 3, 4, 5 players for Tennessee, Carolina. That's probably the best matchup. You know, Zakai Ziegler by then should be even playing more minutes, going against RJ Davis. I like that backcourt maybe canceling each other out. Cam says, get ready to rank UConn number 1 soon. Look, if they beat Kansas and Purdue loses, they're probably going to flip it and be up there. Would they leapfrog Arizona? I don't know, but they would be right there. And yeah, I mean, I think UConn is a 1 seed, and I think that's very significant right now. Okay, so Nova, here's a question, Josh. Nova lost to Penn. They're ranked higher than Memphis. What is that about? Well, Nova, remember this is a snapshot in week. Nova comes back from the Penn loss and wins the battle for Atlantis. So that's why they should be higher than Memphis, who they beat in Atlantis. But they both should be ranked. Asher says, is Big Ten the worst Power 6 conference? So they're not the worst. I would put it like this. 1 and 1A, Big 12, Big East, SEC. So that's 1, 2, 3. 1A, 1B, 1C. Top of the SEC is really good. Then you have a combination of top of the Big Ten, top of the ACC, and then the Pac-12. So I think Big Ten's probably 4th right now, ahead of the ACC. So I brushed past Illinois on the AP Power 36. Why? Well, I have them ranked. I'm fine with that. But They did. Now they played well against Marquette. It was at home, lost. Coleman Hawkins has not played as well since I saw him in an exhibition game against Kansas. Point guard play a little erratic. As the previous questioner asked, this next 3-game stretch is going to be significant for them, where they've got a stretch coming up against Rutgers on the road, FAU in New York, and Tennessee on the road. So I think Tennessee's on the road. I'll get to double check that. Okay, agree on Ole Miss. They haven't played anyone yet. Chris Beard doing a good job so far. The game against Memphis will tell a lot where they are. Cody asked that question. Negs asked about Pitt, if they're a team to watch with, Carlton Carrington with their freshman. He's one of the best freshmen in the country. Yes. I think they're going to be in a similar place they were a year ago, which is right on the bubble. I'm going to lean that they're going to get in, but they're going to be probably I'm not going to say they're going to be in Dayton again, but it's going to be very similar to that. My thoughts on UCLA are, I have a lot of concerns about UCLA. A lot of talent, a lot of international talent, young guys. I was concerned watching them against Gonzaga because it's just going to take them a long time, I think, to really mesh, get in rhythm. And I think they're going to take on some water. They're going to lose some games. They'll be in the tournament. They have a high ceiling. There's no question they could be a very dangerous 7 seed, for example. But I don't see them in that top 4 line for the first time in a long time. Matt Cash says Duke finishes with a 1 seed. We'll see. I think they got to win some of these games. They got Baylor coming up at Arkansas this week. Carolina with these next couple games with Tennessee and UConn, that's going to tell us a lot about the Tar Heels. No question about it. All right, let's see. Colorado State over San Diego State. I love the Mountain West right now, the top. Colorado State, San Diego State, Nevada, New Mexico. So I'm ranking the Power 36. Colorado State, San Diego State, and Nevada. New Mexico was also on my group. So I think we're going to see another year where the Mountain West is going to get 3 teams. Will they get 4? Probably not, unless someone else wins the tournament. But actually, let me rephrase that. They definitely could get 4 because New Mexico would be the 4th. If Nevada can hold what they're doing, I feel very confident San Diego State and Colorado State are going to be right there the whole year. So the question will be, can Nevada and New Mexico sustain it? And they could. Matt, last question here. Let's take this one on Kentucky. Thoughts on when they'll get their big men back? Yeah, I mean, when those guys come back, similar to UCLA, they're young, there's some international, or at least one is international, that they have a chance to certainly be right in contention in the SEC with Tennessee, with Auburn, Arkansas, Alabama, Mississippi State. They're all going to be right there. All right. Great games this week. UConn, Kansas on Friday. This is a great way to end it. I appreciate our producer, Asia, putting this up here. Games of the week. We'll run through these real quick. UConn, Kansas. That could be a Final Four matchup. That's Friday at Fog Allen. What a great matchup, Big 12, Big East. Tennessee, Carolina. First year of the ACC, SEC Challenge. We're going to learn a lot about both those 2 teams in that group. Marquette, Wisconsin. Always a great rivalry in the state of Wisconsin. Now Wisconsin's playing well. A week ago, I would have said this is Marquette, no question. Wisconsin's finally playing well. They won that tournament down in Fort Myers. Marquette coming off a great week in Honolulu. This will be a good test for both, obviously. Miami, Kentucky. Kentucky fans better understand Miami may be the best team in the ACC. This is a great matchup for the Wildcats. Duke at Arkansas. Arkansas is not going to be 100% likely, but Bud Walton's going to be rocking. You got Clemson and Alabama. Where's Clemson in the top 25? If Clemson beats Alabama and Tuscaloosa, people better rank them. USC, Gonzaga in Vegas, neutral court game. This is going to tell a lot about where the Zags are because USC has the better backcourt. I think the Zags have the better front court. Purdue, Northwestern will be there Friday. Number 1 team in the country going into Welsh Ryan. But I just think that Purdue's playing much better than they were a year ago when they went in there and lost as their number one team. Houston Xavier, going to be an absolute battle defensive. Kelvin Sampson, Sean Miller, that's going to be ugly. And then Colorado State. Colorado lost last week to Florida State. Colorado State knocks off Creighton, holds them under 50. I lean the Rams right there. Not easy to win in Moby. Great matchup there in the state of Colorado. All right. As always, check out all our content on March Madness social media platforms at March Madness MBB on Twitter, X, and Instagram, and TikTok. And obviously, stay with us here on Bleacher Report. Every Monday, we break down the top 25, and Thursday, noon Eastern, our first bracket of the season, 1 month in. Appreciate all the engagement. Enjoy a phenomenal group of games this week. We'll talk to you before those monster games on Friday, on Thursday at noon Eastern, right here on this Bleacher Report app. For Andy Katz here at O'Hare, thanks for watching.